What is your thoughts on NASCAR today?
Oh, that is a big question. So I think back to like what got me into NASCAR as a kid. I was like 7 years old. No one in my family watched NASCAR. Like I always tell people, I got my dad into NASCAR at the same time. So uh, I always look at NASCAR. I watch it over most other motorsports. I think first and foremost because it's relatable in some ways. Obviously, they're not real stock cars, but they look like stock cars you see on the street. So naturally, that part is sort of relatable. I love how patriotic the sport is. It's unapologetically American. It's hard for me to get into F1 the same way because I can't relate to Monaco the way I relate to, like Texas Motor Speedway this past weekend. And
Let me
even the,
interrupt you. Or
yeah,
where are you from in Texas?
I'm from Houston. I now live near Dallas.
Thank you.
Um, so yeah, Lone Star State, born and raised. But yeah, and what I was going to say was another thing that I think is relatable to me is because I watch so many other sports, even the idea of a playoffs, which I know is very polarizing still amongst race fans. Like, is the format perfect today? No, but like, I don't hate the idea of a playoffs. Every other sport I watch, yeah, the end of the season matters more. You got to bring your best stuff when it matters most. Like, I don't watch college basketball except for March, and most other people don't either. Like, I feel like that's relatable to me and to the average sports fan in America. So there's a lot about the existing NASCAR platform that I think is really strong. It is relatable, and it goes back 20 plus years to when I first started watching the sport. But at the same time, they're in a difficult spot because they have to toe this line, I think, between appeasing the old long-term, loyal fans and trying to reach younger fans like myself and even younger fans than I am. And that's tough. I think they've done a good job the past few years, especially going to different venues. For every, Chicago street race, Clash at the Coliseum, they've also brought back North Wilkesboro Speedway. I think that's a good trade-off. So it's tough. You even see it with teams. Like you still got the legacy teams like Hendrick and Joe Gibbs Racing and Richard Childress all winning races, contending for championships. But you got these new teams with completely new philosophies like 2311, Trackhouse that are starting to stand out, and even the drivers. Like my favorite driver growing up was Matt Kenseth. I was a big Matt Kenseth fan for
Matt
years and
the
years.
Brat.
Yep, absolutely. And he retired, and around the same time Dale Jr. did, and Tony Stewart did, and Danica did, and go on and on and on. Carl Edwards did, and they tried to push the youth movement. Chase Elliott's the next big thing, Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney, and it took a few years. Now I think we're in a nice sweet spot again, towing that line where you have Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex still up front, still winning races. They're that tie to NASCAR's heyday. But you've got the young guys like Blaney just won the championship. Chase Elliott's a champion. Go on and Ross Chastain. You've also got Chase Elliott, who sort of bridges that gap in some ways. He's a young guy, but he's an Elliott. So the longtime Bill Elliott fans still love him as well. So I think NASCAR is in a good place, but they're also in a difficult place. Everything I just mentioned, they're striking a good balance between the new and the old. I just don't know how long that's sustainable for. I wonder if at some point, like another great example is streaming. They've been on cable and broadcast TV forever. Obviously, that's still very important because that's where a lot of their fans still reside, I guess. But now they're dabbling with Amazon next year. Like again, they're I think they're approaching it well. They're making the right moves, but it's a really tricky balance because NASCAR fans are vocal, and anyone change is to often received negatively when something's been done the same way for many
Always.
years. You change it, there's going to be some blowback. So all that is to say is I don't really know. I think they're doing a good job of towing that line, but it is a very difficult line to stay balanced on.